Well, hello there, everybody, out in the YouTube world. Welcome to Interracial Relationships, Sex, Dating, Marriage, episode. What do I want to call it the first episode? I would really call it episode 0 because, maybe no one's even watching this yet. So that's why I would call it episode 0 because it's just the first time I'm putting it out there. So, anyway. Um, all of this is right now just me 100% winging it. So I'll just start off by telling you what I was thinking about earlier today before doing this broadcast, and what I was thinking about um, as far as history goes, and as far as multicultural dating and things like that, right? So I was thinking about like maybe a few hundred years ago before colonialism, how there was, probably trade among different regional tribes, such as the Africans and the Arabs with the Chinese, with the Asians, and the Asians with the Indians, and so on and so forth. So I would have thought that back then, your traditional, male and female, nuclear family was more. I guess it's more prevalent back then, but it seemed to be more of a foundational um, point where it seems to be that's where relationships mostly started and ended within your own tribe, right? And Indian wouldn't think about marrying someone that was Asian, and an Asian wouldn't think about uh, dating or marrying anyone that was European. The European wouldn't think about, typically dating or having relationships with anyone African. So, so on and so forth, right? I mean, for the most part, if you go back far enough, I think that belief was probably the most dominant belief at one point or another, right? Just everyone married within their own culture, um, your traditions. It's how we build traditions, norms, and the only way we would interact with other cultures is coming from that foundational standpoint of, this man marries this woman, or women, because pretty much back then, and today, polygamy is still a thing, where one man has, mostly, 6 or 7 wives, something like that, more than one wife. Still happens, I believe, in Asian cultures as well. Like, I believe a man still does have a wife, but has either a mistress or a side piece or something like that. That thing that we would pretty much translate here to our culture today. But they're not really. I don't see a lot of them, either modernizing away from that, or anytime soon. I think that for the most part, in that culture over there, it is what it is. And over here, what we would like it to be is something that really doesn't happen in many other places. So, therein lies that dynamic, right? And number two, um, I think the ideal relationship of a marriage being, one man and one woman. Um, I don't know how old that tradition is, right? It's very old because it's pretty common and it's pretty typical. But then again, there's another culture that says, one man can have several wives or several women, and that was perfectly acceptable. So I think there's always been this like struggle between like which method of like marriage and commitment and relationships are correct and which are outdated. What do we want to leave behind, and do we want to push and carry forward? So one of those traditions is just marrying within your own culture, marrying within your own race, and kind of staying out of other people's genetic pools and things like that. I mean, that's kind of what what your parents either teach you consciously or subconsciously. They'll lead it into your head that perhaps it's okay to associate or be friends with someone from another culture or race, but to have a relationship with them is a completely different aspect of a relationship. So, um, it's more than a friend. Now you have like real feelings involved, and it doesn't matter how old you are. I mean, you can be like me, 5 years old when you first have those kind of feelings, or you can be, 10 or 12. But those feelings are going to happen sooner or later, right? We all go through it, and we all remember how we felt, and who, for the most part, who we felt had those feelings for, right? So, yeah. So I was thinking about that, the dynamics of the past, and who we are now, and how we think of relationships now, and how we define relationships now. Um, if not because, I mean, we still value relationships, and I think we always will, but I just think that we value them differently than we did before. I mean, when we say the word tradition, we're talking about something that is number one commonly known, right, amongst the populace. Number two, considered somewhat old-fashioned. Old-fashioned pretty much describes tradition. Um, and number three, at some point, it turns into a product that is outdated and no longer needed or required in order to move forward. So there are many traditions that have been dropped over time. I mean, there's the whole dowry thing where the man comes to the father asking his daughter's hand in marriage. Um, the father, I think, gives some money to the soon-to-be husband or son-in-law in order for him to help support the family and get the family started. So, I mean, now people get married in Vegas over a weekend, when they were, inebriated or something. That and there's, the bachelor, the bachelorette, and who wants to marry a millionaire, and just stuff like that. Just a lot of modernization has changed things. They devalued things that we used to hold pretty high standards. I mean, some of us still do, but you can't change everybody. You can't change the world. You can only hold on to the values that are important to you, and then just watch the world go by and state your opinions. But you know, you can do it in a respectful manner. Let's hope. Let's hope we haven't lost that sense, right? Um, Also, when I was thinking about, I made a bunch of I did a whole bunch of things I thought I'd never live to do. I started making a Facebook post for the show, for the podcast. I made events on Facebook for the podcast. I made a new group. I made sure there was an email so I can receive feedback on the show and questions and things like that. I I promoted the introduction show, which is just me just BSing, just kind of like now. But it was really surreal. I never thought that I'd be that guy going around handing out flyers, right? I mean, most people, I'm not gonna lie, I am one of that guy. I am that guy that just kind of shifts and avoids that. And you're like, don't need it. But now that I'm on the other end of it, it's like, oh, maybe I should maybe I'll take a flyer, And maybe I'm not gonna listen to the music or look up the video, but at least taking the flyer, just the little things, can kind of go a long way. But anyway, besides getting back to the topic at hand, right? So, interracial and multicultural relationships. I've been in them. Um, I've been in them as long as I can remember, right? I've been I've been through so many different things. I've been through a marriage, I've been through the dating process, and I've been through lots and lots and lots of sex. You know, it's all just a lot. But unpacking everything though, I mean, there are very different lessons to be learned from each relationship that you go through, and for different people that you have feelings for. In my case, different women in my life. So I guess I want to talk about the most recent issue, that obviously applies to me, which is a girl that I was in love with in junior high and maybe a little bit of my freshman year of high school, right? Going way back. Yes, just buckle up. Anyway, this girl never knew I liked her until I I got the balls to write her a letter. So I wrote her a letter. The problem was when I wrote her a letter, I was already going to move, like out of state. So even if the letter was on some, some kind of Shakespearean, whatever it was, whatever, like it wouldn't have been enough time to metastasize into like a potential relationship with the girl that I like fall head over heels for. So I'm that kind of guy, right? Just in my feelings about things. How about we move you? Oh, like that. Better. Anyway, I would walk around school. During the summer, I would see her walking around. I was on an Air Force base in Fairbanks, Alaska at the time, right? This was in the mid 90s. So I had a thing for her. Other people knew I had a thing for her. My friends, of course, knew I had a thing for her because I would always, just kind of just. It's one of those things where you, as a guy, when you're younger and you're fixated on a female, everyone. There can be a sea of your classmates and your peers and your friends, but sometimes all you see is that one person that you're really looking at. You're looking for. You're looking for that one person you got a crush on, and it's just really a trip because um, you'd give anything for them to just like turn and look at you, and even if they did, you kind of look away or turn away because you're just shy. I mean, it's the games we play when we're younger. But yeah, I don't know if you ever get over something like a thing like that, like having the crush um, in school and never saying anything or ever doing anything, and then finding out like you should have made your move sooner. She actually wrote me back after she read my letter. She wrote me back. She told me I should have made my move sooner, of course. And then she said, I owe you a dance, right? So we danced at this, this high school dance thing. You know how we do um, back then, high school dance. And I remember, I remember the song that we were dancing to. It was a slow dance, but it wasn't really good. But I'm like, no, I'm gonna take this one. So, I was shy the whole time, and I was holding her the whole time, and I think she was trying to look at me and talk to me, and I just really couldn't do it. I just couldn't believe that what was happening, like it was really happening. It's one of those dreams come true that you fantasize about, but when the moment comes, like you're just dumbfounded and completely just I don't know. You're there, but you're not there. You're not in it. You're somewhere else. I don't know. You're just beside yourself with shock and surprise. So anyway, when the dance was over, I remember feeling. Um, I remember the feeling of, oh my god, I just danced with the girl of my dreams, and but I'll never have a shot with her, and I'll never see her again after like several weeks because I'm flying out of here. So, I mean, it was for me. It was like it's a case of tragedy, to be honest. But um, you, I'm 40 now. No, I'm over it. At least I think. You know, I still hold my pillow at night and cry myself to sleep. Over that one memory. Joking, of course, but still, I probably should. You know. But after that, I would, what do you do? Where do you go from there, right? I've had many other relationships before and after that moment, but that moment just stuck out to me because uh, I think when you fall hard for somebody and you have a crush on somebody, right? Crush is, I think crush is a term that describes what happens when a guy or girl really likes someone so much that they can't even speak to them. Like, I think that's when I say the word crush, I believe that to be the case. Like I'm checking her out. I've been checking. There's this one girl, and us guys are, no matter what nationality you are, you always do check out some girl, some woman who's just minding her own business, not doing anything like sexual, promiscuous, or anything like that, not showing off anything, but just doing something completely benign, and we're just checking her out, and it's not just the one time may draw you in and make you curious, but then you're just gonna mind your own business, keep the world, keep it moving, and do whatever it is you're gonna do. But I think that when you see the same girl again and again and again, um, like I think attraction can grow from seeing the same person regularly. I'll give like everyone feels what I'm saying because we're all familiar with the office romance, right? The office romance, the person that you see every day or have to talk to or deal with every day, the dynamics of that relationship in a professional environment, um, the innuendos that you may or may not make, the gestures, the looks on your faces, the things that you may be able to tell each other, but not your significant other. So, there are things like that. So, but there are crushes as well. And, when you crush hard as a younger male, um, a lot of crushes come from our teachers. A lot of teachers for little boys who are growing up in their, hormonal phase or their puberty phase, a lot of us have that one teacher that's just looking right, like, oh my god, I gotta go to English again to see this woman. So you make straight A's all of a sudden. You were failing, and now you're on the honor roll. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, so I had a Spanish teacher in high school, and she was shorter than me. I'm six. I was six something back then in my high school. A lot of people were shorter than me. Come on. But she was, particularly short, and but she was gorgeous. I was like, wow, lady, you're stunning. And she was my Spanish teacher, and I'm just every day I got her class. What am I gonna say? I'm a student. Hi, ma'am. I'm just checking you out and wanting to know if you had a man. You know, it's not how things work, especially in Texas, right? So, but I still don't know as much Spanish as I should. But I paid attention. I paid attention in her class. She was definitely a looker. There was nothing. You know what? It kills me still today. It's like as younger men, who are all up in their hormones and just testosterone driven and just want to hump everything with a heartbeat. I mean, we want us older men. We know what they're going through, right? I just hate the fact that we shame them for being who they are because it's just biology. It's just we all go through it at some point. It's if it were such a thing where it was so wrong what younger men did and wrong what younger women did, then we wouldn't naturally be seeing it everywhere all the time. I mean, we wouldn't have been doing those things because we did those things as teenagers when we were their age that we shouldn't have been doing, but we did them anyway. But now it's weird because now like 22 years later, I'm a parent, and I'm on the other side of all this shit I used to do. So my daughter is now 21 now, so that means the liquor and the alcohol and the shots and shot glasses, I'm sure, the wine. I'm hoping she'll be responsible with that. I'm trying to make sure she is responsible with that. I'm just letting her know she needs to download Uber and Lyft and that she can go out and do whatever she wants to do, but just don't drive. Just get a ride there, get a ride back. If you don't have enough money, hit me up, then I'll get you. I'll make sure you have enough money for a ride there and back. Don't even worry about it. This modern parenting. How about we say that, right? Modern parenting. The text message, the check-ins, the likes on your children's social media, no matter how dumb their post is. The comment you leave, mommy's so proud, daddy's so proud, something like that. No, you mean it, but modern parenting. That's all the point is. But in dating, things are different. In dating, you have to learn how to listen, not just talk. You have to learn to tolerate something that you normally wouldn't. Um, you have to be open to try new things that you said you weren't going to do. From what I learned, a lot of hard no's, a lot of my hard no's, a lot of my hell no's have just been obliterated because I met this person over here. I mean, you wouldn't believe it. I mean, maybe some of you would, but for the most part, you just wouldn't. I'll save that for something more interesting later. But I've dated, um, I've dated Hispanic women, white women, of course. I've tried to date a black woman in junior high, but that didn't go well. That didn't go well for some reason. I didn't know back then. I didn't know how to really be a boyfriend. Um, what came later? Marriage, of course. Divorce, of course. But I don't think I did have a relationship with a Filipina. This was back in 2000. I want to say like the late 90s, 2000s, when the movie Pitch Black was in theater. If you can remember off the top of your head when that was. Yeah, Pitch Black was in theater. I'll tell you the story. So Pitch Black was in theaters. One of Vin Diesel's first badass movies, and I lived in the apartment that was for me walking distance to a movie theater. Now there is a movie theater, the main theater, and then there's this building over here called the Annex. So the Annex, what happens is the main movies that come out, and they've been out there for 2-3 weeks, and their show times get reduced down to 2 or 3 during the day, and maybe 4 or 5 during the night, or whatever, however that math works. So what happens is they stop showing it in the main theater, and then they put it in the Annex. So those who missed it in the main theater can go to the Annex and see this movie that is about to, stop being shown in theaters altogether. So the girl that I was involved with, she was working in the Annex. So I just walk out of my apartment and go to the Annex to see her. And she had this thing where she was able to get people in the theater for free. She can pop up like her guest tickets to any movie. Because the people that work at the movie, they've seen the movie, like maybe many times, right? They're probably the first ones who do see the movie. So they have this thing where, hey, if you want to go see the movie, here's tickets, or you can just give them to somebody if you don't use them. So I kept getting the tickets. She would just pop them up and be like, here you go, it's black. So I went to the theater to see, some of it black, but me and her were, kind of together. So, no, it's a kind of theater where, not a lot of people are around. So it had to be maybe two people who were maybe up front, up in the front rows, like paying attention to the movie, while I was, kind of in the back. And what happens is, this girl, as soon as she's done, working, and her shift is over, or something like that, she'll come into the theater where I'm at, and then we'll just be in that back row like this make now. And just like I'm getting to like second base. So that was that was a pretty good relationship. As far as, us being able to, just kind of play around a bit, come back to theater. She was like, she had to be 4 foot, like 2 or something. This girl was just incredibly short. But she was nice. She was good. Fast forward in time to uh, 2009 to this Mexican girl. I met her at at a call center I used to work at. I worked at many call centers over the years because I used to do technical support for internet service providers. The guy who he called in order to fix your home internet, that was me. For many of you out there, probably. Um, so we were in training class, dealing with the technology, dealing with the history, dealing with how we're going to be helping customers and what to say, how to say it, and going through scenarios. I'm looking at this woman, and she is looking at me, but she's very quiet and very reserved. And me, I was very kind of loud and kind of noisy. I mean, maybe it's once upon a time I did stand-up comedy, and that kind of requires an extrovert personality to an extent. You have to be that guy in the room making people laugh, and so people, get to know you, they like you. It's kind of like a social thing that people develop. And it's natural. Either you have it or you don't. And for me, it comes and goes. Now this is my introvert phase. There's not a lot of people around here. It's just me here, right? But anyway, it took me a while, I want to say about a week or two, to get up enough courage to kind of shoot my shot, as it were, right? Just say something to her, walk up to her, and just like, hi, how you doing? And what's your name? And, kick my rap, you know. We started talking, and the more we started talking, we grew interested in each other, right? As things happen, as things play out. So then we started switching. We did a merry-go-round type of deal where when we first started sitting in class, everyone chose you choose your own seat, and you choose where you want to sit or sit next to, and it's kind of tattooed there for maybe a week or so. You're like, yeah, I'm comfortable here, I'm sitting here. But when you get to know someone and they're sitting across the room, you're like, okay, I think we need to kind of move chairs a little bit. It's like, yeah, let's sit in the back, and like, that way we can talk. And so me and this girl sat in the back together, and we talked to each other. And then we got really close, and I think before the training was over, because I think the training was about 4 to 5 weeks, we were kissing. Like we were kissing, and then we started making out. And then after that, things didn't get serious so quickly. But what happened was, we would after work we would go out, just coworkers, right? All of us coworkers. Some of us, grew kind of close. So, we go out. We go out to the bar. We have some drinks, make jokes, laugh it up, and then kind of pair off and go home. And do it all over again tomorrow. Or I think we did this mostly on the weekend, on Fridays. We didn't usually do this on like a Tuesday or anything. I mean, some people did, but it's just like, we got to work in the morning. We can't be doing all that. So this relationship with this woman was passionate, because what I discovered about this relationship was how powerful touch can be between two people. Like I have a background where my mother's African American, my father's Jamaican, so I have both of that, right? And this girl, her family is from Mexico. I mean, both her mother and her father are both from Mexico, so she has that kind of background. So we're in this relationship, She speaks fluent Spanish. Of course, I don't. I can pick it up here and there, but not enough to have a good conversation. At least not yet. Still working on that. But we, I mean, things get really serious between us to where there was a point where we lived together, right? We moved in. She moved into my place. We got furniture together. We moved in. She had kids. Her and I, when we first met, we both had daughters. She now had two more. She now had another boy. She later had another girl. That's later down the road. While we were together, I would typically go to work. She worked at a bank. I worked at a company downtown. Um, so we have two working adults in the household. You have a teenager that's in school. Her daughter that's in high school. You have her son that's in daycare. So we have a pretty functioning household, and we're a pretty happy family for a while, right? I say family because when I was with her, I met her father, I met her mother, I met her, of course, I met her entire family. Well, not her entire family, but a great deal or number of them. We once had a, she had a quinceanera for her daughter, and in Laredo, and a lot of the family came, so I got to meet a lot more of that of her family on her side. She never got a chance, I believe, to meet my father or my mother, because my mother lives in Atlanta currently and has been for the past 15 years or so. But at the time, uh, I was holding down with my job, of course, software engineering job. Uh, she decides to quit and leave work and just be a stay-at-home mom. So, I was cool with that. I had more than enough, so we were good. So what wound up happening was in our relationship up and that got really serious. We had some problems and issues when it came to space, when it came to privacy and things like that. Now, ironically enough, one thing I'll admit is that back when I was married, which is a different topic I'll probably dig into later on, but when I was married, I completely screwed up that marriage. I did things that I wasn't supposed to do, completely cheated, ran around. It was just completely out of control and horrible. But with this relationship that I had with this woman, I didn't have the need to desire sex with anyone else but her. I fell in love with her and I stayed that way. Her behavior became more and more erratic and crazy, but it's like I don't understand why us men, we love the crazy ones. Like the crazier they get, the more we need to hold them or hug them or something, or they need attention. They're bipolar, they're manic depressive, all these issues, but we love them anyway. We love their crazy ass anyway. But what kept the relationship going for as long as it did was mostly the sex. From what I've been, what she tells me, from the feedback she tells me, she said, if our sex wasn't, wasn't as good, I would have probably left you a while ago. And I'm like, really? Why? I'm like, but I mean, interesting feedback, but yeah, I mean, and I guess it's real, right? Because sometimes I think it is. Sometimes it can be maybe just the sex that keeps a relationship together. I think that's how toxic relationships work. Like, like the arguing and the sniping and the pettiness, all to get to the makeup sex, what they call it. So, biologically speaking, from what I can understand, somebody with a degree can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that there's this kind of like feelings you feel when two people are in an argument, a heated argument, like just like, no, you're wrong, you did this, and you're this, you're that, you this, you're that, and then all of a sudden, you just get to this point where you just kiss her and she's kissing you, and then you're like ripping each other's clothes off, maybe not literally, but you get the idea, and it's just like you're just getting into it, just giving it to her just as hard and as hateful as you can to some extent, like a love hate type of thing. And I think there's something primal and savage about it, but the feeling is probably like somewhere there's an extra feeling that gets released when you're doing that. Like it's not even. I think the term is hate fucking. So yeah, that's the term, right? So the hate fuck. A toxic relationship is held together by the hate fuck. Mm, something I'm pretty sure most of us should agree on, right? I think that would be the only reason why two people who don't agree or don't get along would even tolerate one another. You know what I mean? So I mean, the sex is just so overwhelmingly good and powerful that it can make you change your mind about the rest of the 23 hours of bullshit you may have to deal with each other. Been through that before. It's not nice or polite. It's just something. It's about letting go. I think toxicity breeds resentment, and that resentment festers into hate and despise. I think like feelings happen as time goes on. Like your feelings about a person changes as time goes on, and it can be for better or for worse, right? For instance, I'll give you an example. Like there's this Mexican girl that that works at my gym. I like I like her. I like her. I like looking at her. She, in my opinion, she would be like the kind of person I would like to take out on a date, or two, or three, or to the movies. But I mean, you know, I don't want to. I mean, because dating's a process, right? But so there would be some times where I walk into the gym, and I go 3 days a week, by the way. But I walk into the gym, she's there at the counter, I'm looking at her, she's looking at me, and there was a time where I believe we were like maybe feeling each other. Maybe. And I'm not reading too much into it because if she had that with anyone else, I would have been like, well, I'm reading too much into it. I gave it enough time, and it's like, okay, well, this seems to be a me and you thing. Out of all these other guys that come in here, this is me and you, and the way I look at you, I think you know that I want you, and the way that you're looking at me, you can tell that I want you. That's pretty much as far as the game got because I had this crush. I had this crush on her. So over time, I eventually said something to her. I talked to her. I would make up an excuse to talk to her. I would make up something stupid. So I would be like, hey, tomorrow, because during the holidays, they have holiday hours. Like, hey, tomorrow we're gonna be, what time you guys open till? And she would say, and I'd be like, okay, or maybe make a stupid joke out of it. I'd ask her about Christmas and Merry Christmas hours, is Santa gonna be here, or whatever. I'd say something. But, lately I had to stop going to the gym for some reasons. I was working on some personal development projects and just buried in work. So I stopped going to the gym for a few months. Um, and now I'm going back. So, she's still there, thank goodness. But, now I'm going back and now, I'm recently single. But, um, even when I wasn't, I was still, always looking at other women at the gym just because that's just a reason to go. Gives you another reason to go. I don't know I don't know lots of people who go to the gym. People who do go know me because they know my face. They may not know my name. They may not know where I live. But when you go to the gym enough time, it's a community within itself. You know who's on that treadmill. You know who's lifting those weights, and you know you see them on a regular. So this girl that I have a crush on, that I used to speak to, I gave out this vibe, and I think she was catching it. And I think there was an opportunity there for me to actually shoot my shot with her. But I just never took it. The reason I never took it is because at the time I had a girlfriend, and I can't, I'm not gonna step out and date, two different women, only, one girl at a time, So, um, but now that I'm, available now, I mean, no time like the present, but the connection that we once had when I had the courage and the wherewithal to talk to this woman and maybe make it more of a play, that time has passed. So if I'm going to start up this game again, or if I, or any game, it's going to have to be where, not where we picked up where we left off, but I feel like we have to start all over again. Because she does know my name. I have to scan in every time I'm at the gym. I don't know her name. It's not like they were name tags. So, one day I'm gonna have to walk up to her and ask her her name. Just, hey, so what your name is? Or, however we're gonna do it, I'm gonna do it, right? Um, but anywho, just these are just my personal examples of what I've been living with and going through in the dynamics of dating people from different cultures and the relationships I've had with them. I married a white woman. I had sex with, I dated, and then I married and had a child with a white woman. And that is an entire saga of so much. My mother sure as hell didn't like it. My sister didn't hate it. She was, all right with it. My friends didn't mind, but my I distinctly, knowingly, and for surely had a tattoo that my mother just completely never. She still tells me to this day, I never liked her, and it's just like I'm like, I believe you, but it's just crazy. So I met. Let's start from the beginning. Let's go there, okay? Let's go to the marriage. Episode 1. We're going to my marriage. So back in 1997, 1998, 1999, here in Texas, locally, we have a radio station, 102.7 KTFM, way back in the 90s. And it's still maybe out there somewhere in some fashion or form. They had their own chat called KTFM Chat. So KTFM Chat was looking for local people in the city to like get to know. Hey, are you going to the mall? Which mall are you going to? I'll meet you there. Let's hook up. Let's hook up. Let's hook up. This was the real rise of like hookup culture before the dating apps and social media. There was only the chat. So in KTFM Chat, I remember meeting some women off of there. Um, having some success there and hooking up. I am that generation of hooking generation hookup. I've been cyber pimping since like 1994. So some of y'all weren't even born yet, but by the time I was doing what I was doing. But anyway, so I met there's this chat that was popular that was called MSN Chat, Microsoft Chat, Microsoft Network Chat. It was called MSN Chat though. And MSN Chat had it to where you can drill down to what state and then what city you were in. So then we had like local city chats within the MSN Chat. So within the MSN Chat, you're like, hey, what's up? How's it going? What are you looking for? Give me your ASL. Da 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 da. Da. What school do you go to? And then it's just like, do you have a boyfriend? Do you like to screw? What's your favorite position? all those stupid questions that men ask women to try and get some. I should know. So I've had a lot of success on the internet. I just have. I run into this one girl who later becomes my wife, but this is one girl. I'm a teenager. Have to be at least 18, barely turning 18. 17 turning 18. 17 turning 18. I'm going to say 17 turning 18 because I was old enough to drive around and do what I was doing, but I wasn't 18 or 19 in which I was already living in my own apartment. See what I mean? So 17 years old, I run into this girl, and I don't know if she knows the game, but my game is really on point. It's really tight. I mean, I've had so much. I've smashed so many local women. I just have my own thing. I know how I'm going to get it. If I want you, I will have you. So this girl's kind of teasing me a little bit about meeting in person. I'm like, so, why don't you send me a picture of what you look like? And, excuse me, she sends me a picture of herself. She's with a horse and, because, her family owns, farmland out in Texas. So I'm like, oh, wow, look how sweet you are. This is kind of cool, So I'm like, yeah, let's see if I can work my way into her bangs. But So I remember I'm like, okay, so when can I see you? Like when do we meet? Like we meet in person, we meet and have dinner or something. So I remember I had a beeper back then. And with this beeper, all you get is a numeric display of, you know, what what someone called the number that someone called you from. I don't know why I'm starting with that. I my friend at the time, he had himself a different type of pager that had text. So what happens is when you call the beeper number, you can say what you want to say, and then what you said turned into text. It was the first type of speech to text technology using beepers. And you had to have a beeper that had a display because the display would display the text that a message where someone could, someone writes to you. This was before the rise of the cellular phone. The cellular phone back then, I mean, were bricks, right? But they were even big phones, and you had to have a credit card to activate it because that's how you pay for your minutes every month. But anywho, uh, I I gave her my pager and I gave her my friend's pager because my friend's pager can do text. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to be at my friend's house on the Air Force Base or whatever. So, let me know when you want to meet or if you're serious about meeting and And I would write her through email, right? So she would respond to me through the speech to text. And she'd be like, if you want to meet me, you can always come. This Sunday, my family and I are going to this church, and you're more than welcome to come. And then, like, you can meet me there, and we can hang out after. And I'm like, yeah, it's a nice try, but I'm not, I'm not, it was a thing, being cheeky, just sends that out there, and like, yeah, let's see him. If he's really wanting, me bad, he'll come to the church and yeah, I wasn't playing that kind of game, right? So I'm like, yeah, no, I really don't do churches. So it took a while, but she obviously, met me and she took her little brother with her and we met at McDonald's so her little brother could, kind of run around and play while we just sat and talked, got to know each other and had something very small to eat and we kind of drove around, really got to know each other, and then we started, spending some serious time together, right? So it was funny because in our relationship, uh, um, I was shy about bringing her to see my friend whose pager I had borrowed because my friend is like that. He's like a pretty boy, not pretty boy, but I think you know what I mean when I say that. Here's what I mean. In high school and whatever, I would try and pull a girl, and then it's me and my friend, and then the girl responds to him even though he doesn't say or do anything. It's like all of a sudden she starts paying attention to him, and then I'm just like chopped liver, like I don't even exist. So I was afraid of that happening to this one girl that I was really digging because I don't want her looking at him, and then now she's just infatuated with him like so many other women that I've kind of been talking to at the time. So because of that, she thought I was always hiding. Like, no, I'm just going up to my friend's apartment and we're just gonna chill out for a minute. We're this, and I'll be back downstairs and then we can go and hang out. She's like, are you doing like? It was funny. She like asked me this question. It was really ballsy, but I'm glad she asked it. She's like, you know, so like, are you like a drug dealer? I'm like, no, what makes you ask that? Well, I mean, we go to like your friend's house, and then you're up there, and for a while you come back down, and all of a sudden we have to go, and then we're going somewhere else, and you never tell me to come up there or anything like that, and it's like you want me to see something. I'm like, it's not that I don't want you to see something. I just don't want you to meet my friend. Well, is it like another girl? Is it a girlfriend that you're seeing? Am I just taking you to see your other girlfriend and you're just leaving me here in the car? No, it's not my other girlfriend. It's just a friend of mine that I'd rather you like not meet. You know, and well, why? I mean, you're keeping it from me like it's a big deal. Like, no, it's not a big deal. I mean, it is a big deal because if I let you see my friend, I think you'll probably like him more than you'll like me. And I explained her the whole deal. I went through the whole story about how he just pulled all these women from me. So it seems like, and so, one day, they finally meet. I take him like, hey, this is my girl, this is my friend. So they meet, and then, and then that was it. And she's like, you thought I would like him? I'm like, look, other girls like him. Like, you see that girl he's with right there? She was with me first. You know. So, yeah. So our relationship though grew to be um, hypersexual. I'm gonna say that. I'm going to say that because when you're the ages of 17, 18, and 19, like, you are experimental, you have a lot of energy, you have very little patience. This is the time where you're getting it in the back seat of a vehicle, or the front seat, or on top of it, or on the truck bed. I mean, use your magic. I think I think you get me. So, yeah, at this time, me and her are going at it like in a lot of different places and in a lot of different ways. But back then, I wasn't really ready to settle down. Um, this is me just getting my rocks off. I was seeing a few different women at the time, not just her. I was seeing, besides this main white woman who would later become my wife, I was having sex with a Mexican girl from a different part of town. Make that two. Another, I was having sex with another black woman who lived a bike ride away from me. Yeah, I had a bike back then. I would ride a bike to go to her apartment complex, get the shagging, and then leave. It was weird because she lived with her mom, and her mom would be in the living room, just watching TV. But I'm in the bedroom, and we're getting it, we're going at it, and the bed like knocked against the wall, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, your mom, she's dead. I'm just like, and so I leave, and then, we're talking about it or texting about it no, we weren't talking or texting, we were emailing. I keep forgetting that in this era, emailing is the thing. Emailing, going back and forth, because everyone had a home computer or a laptop, something of that nature back then. So I'm like, hey, what did your mom say when I left? Did she like hear us or something? We were pretty loud. She's like, yeah. And she's like, you know, we must have hit me really good. Like breaking up the wall in the bank. So I thought it was really funny. I thought it was really cool. But at the time, it was her. I had a lot of fun with her, by the way. There was this woman that lived on or near the west side of town that I would go to in the middle of the night. And I mean, we're talking 10. It would be like 11 to 1. It'd be between those hours, like booty call hours, we call it. No, booty call hours. And she would email me like, yeah, it's time to come over. What also was popular back then, besides emails, was the messenger. Yahoo Messenger, to be exact, and MSN Messenger and AOL Messenger. Besides the chats, Messenger was pretty much your social media. It wasn't MySpace or Facebook, but it was social media at its early ages. Yahoo Chat, MSN Chat, KTFM Chat. So this is how us older folks got down. But yeah, at that time that I was still seeing my soon-to-be wife, I was playing the field. I was having sex all the time with different women all the time. Now, what I'm proud of myself is that I at least kept safe to some extent because I did buy magnums. I should have bought stock, but I bought those magnums and I used each and every last one of them, except for when it came to this one white woman, because we had a daughter and we got married. So in in these days of early social media, I've made a lot of friends. There's a lot of friends that I've known for well over 20 years because of the early stages of social media and the internet and uh, uh, peer-to-peer meetings, meeting ups, meeting with minds, like-minded people. So, I mean, the hookup culture that I lived through back then was different than it is now. I mean, back then, we talked in my game is that you talk to someone for a while, you exchange pictures. Um, you couldn't exchange video back then. Video wasn't around back then. Maybe if you were fancy like I was, you'd have a webcam, a grainy ass webcam. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. That 56 kilobit per second, like all digital. And then you see the buffering, and then it's like, you know, nothing like it is now, obviously. But having a lot of like the hookup culture back then, my game is you talk, you find someone you like, you go around the internet, you find someone you think is attractive, who you think you might want to, have sex with, and you holler at them, You say hello. You're waiting for them to say hello. If they don't say hello, maybe they're not there or not interested in you after looking at your profile or what have you. And um, you would keep it moving, and you'd find you. Back then, you would, if you were smart, you would go to the Yahoo directory and find out who was online on your messenger, and and then hit whoever's online because they're up. And depending on what time of day it is, different people are online different types of days. So if it's like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight, it's usually us wolves that are hunting for sex on the internet that are looking for like the drunk girl or something that's like caliber, you know. So yeah, I was part of that crowd for a while. This is also during the time of Craigslist. Craigslist was um, one of the forums where there were a lot of single women and couples. I remember there being a lot, I distinctly remember them being a lot of couples searching for a guy, trying to mess with the wife, things like that. I was a part of that too. I've had my experiences in that area as well. I've done a lot in the sexual realm. I just have in the stories. My God, the stories. They're not horrible or anything like that. It's just they're just experiences. For better or for worse. I mean, we've all. I mean, if you are my age, I'm pretty sure 20 years of stuff. I'm pretty sure you have stories of your own to tell, right? So let's not get too, I mean, please. So, I mean, but in my, I mean, back then, I mean, I'm describing the game back then, but my marriage to this white woman, bore out of an era of hookup culture in the early 2000s and 2001 to 2005, I want to say. So I was a part of hookup culture. I wasn't ready to settle down. Um, I'm just discovering at this point in my life the power of having like sexual energy, like being able to just screw multiple women, a day. There have been some cases like that, but um, I mean, straight up squirrels trying to catch a nut. And that's, I mean, when you're a young adolescent, that's all you really care about back then. I mean, now, things are a little different, a lot more sophisticated, and you're not looking for all that anymore. You're looking for something different. But yeah, back then, yeah, I got married at I believe 24 years old, and um, the idea behind my decision to get married, because I didn't ask her, it was brought up in conversation. It's like, hey, do you want to get married? Maybe we should get married. We should get married because we'll have help from our parents, and you know I'm thinking, well, no, it's not really the reason we should get married, but I'm thinking to myself, if I want to stop cheating on this woman and stop running around on her and man up and actually take and own some responsibility, hold myself accountable, really grow up into the role that I perhaps need to be, then maybe I should get married. Maybe I should commit. Maybe after like taking these vows it'll sink in and I'll understand like what it takes to like be a real man in a real relationship in a nuclear family. Maybe, right? That's why I agreed to get married for my own reasons. So, but of course, I loved her too. But it was a lot of logic in that. So we were young and married, and I think I did straighten up for a while, but I think it's just the fact that um, at the time we had this little girl to take care of, and at the time I reverted back to my old ways of just like the smash and grab of hookup culture. Like hookup culture is very addicting because it's all about like the hunt, right? And once you've like had a taste of meat, like you pretty much turn into a carnivore, right? So the biological imperative that men need to spread their seeds, like I get that. That's part of what it is. That's what it is from a logical scientific standpoint, or from an analytical standpoint. I would more liken it to um, a powerful animal such as a lion or a tiger that hunts different animals for different tastes. The animal, like a lion doesn't hunt just a zebra, but it hunts, it would hunt a deer, it would hunt a rabbit, it would hunt, um, different creatures underneath, its power, right? Um, like all kinds of animals run from lions, not just this one or that one. So I would liken it to something around that neighborhood uh, only because a man likes to taste. Um, um, a man has different sexual tastes with different women. Let's try that. Let's try that. A man has different sexual tastes and appetites with different types of women. Now, I'm saying that from personal experience. Like, I don't know what I'm going to get from when I hook up with like a Mexican chick or if I hook up with a white girl. I've hooked up with several white women, and each one of them, well, I can honestly say, um, are going to be the most open. And then I'd say underneath that, Mexican women and Hispanic women. And then I'd say underneath that, maybe Asian women. And then underneath that, I would say black women. And underneath that, I'd say like Middle Eastern women. And they're going to be, I believe, the most, if not the most conservative, sexually speaking, I believe. At least from my experience. Now, I haven't experienced an Indian woman, but I have experienced an Asian woman, not sexually. Take that back. Yes, I have. That's right. There was one woman who was half Korean, half white. That counts. Um, but 100% of Asian Orient, no. You know, but even sex with her was slightly different. I have to admit, when I was with her sexually, the half Korean, half white woman, when I was with her sexually, she was in a state where she was playing the field just as I was playing the field. She like certain women here locally were traveling within the circles of certain men, and I being one of those men. So, I mean, because I hear this name, I'm like, yeah, I've heard of that guy. Yeah, 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 I've heard of that guy. Like, see, you guys are just seeing some, and me, so. This was way back in the day, though. We're talking one of my very old apartments, maybe let's see, 2007, 2006, 2007, somewhere around there. So, out of all these women that I dated and that I've had sex with, different women bring something different to the experience and the pleasure uh, that is, for me, I mean, unexpected. I say unexpected because, when you're in your 20 somethings and you're just getting your rocks off, yeah, you'll do anything, but for me in particular, the women that I did sleep with, they all meant something different. Um, each one of them had their kinks. Each one of them had their thing that they did that they loved to do. A lot of them had borders and hard nose, and a lot of them, this is back when there were cell phones and text messaging. Um, no smartphones, of course, but just cell phones that just text, and that's all you need. Hey, come over, come do this, come do that. So I've been part of hookup culture for, I don't know, maybe well over a decade. But I mean, the game has changed so much. But I mean, I've been a part of it, and I know how it goes. But it ends at some point, because once you do find someone you're sexually compatible with, it's hard to really let that person go. I think here's something else that I've come to realize, especially in interracial relationships. Like, when you find a sexual partner that you really vibe with and have chemistry with, it's usually someone that's outside of your culture, your race. I mean, it just is. I'm finding that to be more the case than not. I'm finding that to be, you know, this thing where we get married to a person that we love and adore and want to be in a family relationship with, and one we dedicate our lives to, and one that we would nurse back to health if they ever got sick or drive to the hospital if they ever injured themselves. We get into that, but something over here where we find like extreme pleasure in like the throes of sex with someone who is nothing like the person that we're married to or in a relationship with. And part of the reason is, I think when we're talking about this, we're talking about fulfilling a need, like a need that cannot be met at home by your significant other, right? Which is why I think there's so much cheating going on in the first place, or so-called cheating, in the first place. I am one of those guys that believe that we throw terms around, but the word cheating, I believe, would imply a person that's in a relationship with someone who they live with, who they love, and that person stepping out and falling in love with someone else and dating someone else. Like, for me, that's cheating, right? When you're in a relationship with someone other than your significant other, I would consider that cheating. Now, the reason I don't consider this, I don't consider sex cheating. I don't consider fucking cheating. And the reason is because when you're stepping out to fuck another woman or a man, it isn't out of love. And it isn't because of disrespect. And it isn't because they're going to then take them to Vegas or some vacation or some honeymoon. Like the person that you're fucking will never experience the love and romance and joy and fulfillment that your significant other will get from you. Um, at the same time, I hate admitting this, but me having walked in those shoes, when you're married to someone that you love and respect, you can no longer really extrapolate the very things that attracted them to you in the first place. Let me elaborate on that further. My ex-wife, the things that attracted me to her was her body and this and that, and her hair, her personality, this and that. We had sex all the time, everywhere in broad daylight, in the front seat, because we were in the mood. Okay. Um, so she gets pregnant. She has our daughter. We're living together. Um, she gained weight after the child's born, of course. I mean, natural. She has to stay with her family because she's going through medical issues, C-section, having to do all that. She comes back a few weeks to a month or so later while I'm still working and holding down the household and things like that. Before we're married, anyway. This is way before we're married. Um, but after a while, um, the sex dies, and it doesn't die, it decreases. It decreases because it decreases not because I don't love her anymore, not because I don't want her anymore, but it's because she's not being the mother of my child means that I respect you in such a way to where I can't do and say the things I used to do and say when before you became this thing. It's a thing where you're taking care of the baby, you're feeding the baby, you're all about the baby, baby, baby. And then at night or when it's twilight and the baby's maybe asleep, maybe we get something in. But even when we do, it's never gonna be the whole backseat, like everywhere in the front of the like it never goes back to where it actually started from and was. Like it evolves into something that it devolves into something that is no longer like maintainable or like but it's respect. Like the reason we can no longer see you as if we were dating you is because we respect you. Like you've gained our respect as a mother and as a woman, and you are not some floozy that we met on that internet trying to get into their pants. Like not now, not anymore. So yeah, that's what changes. I mean, that's what changed for me. It was a. I mean, it's weird because how do you fix that? Like how do you fix like a sexless marriage, or how do you fix you know a relationship that has died? I mean, sex happens to be how two people usually connect, physically, emotionally, or just aggressively, just asserting dominance, just to get your rocks off. But, after, pregnancy and family changes everything, you know? You first, you're getting it everywhere all the time, in the pool, during a car wash, nowadays you're taking video. I mean, and then at a certain point, you're dating this person for a while. You're both busy. You're establishing a family. You're getting serious about your life. You're going back to school. You're going back to work. You're trying to get that promotion. You're trying to start the business. You're looking to buy a house, and then somewhere in the middle of all these things of adulting, you lose the very fun and excitement that you had when you were dating. Oh yeah, and P.S. the sex, if you have time. So yeah, a lot of relationships go through that. But I'll tell you one thing though about being with my ex-wife. Like like when we would go out in public, just being a black dude with a white chick. I mean, the world's a different place. um, uh, Walmart, Target, the grocery store. And you're walking around, and people look at you different. Um, it's like, are you sure? And I'm not sure if they're asking me that or her that. So it's just, I'm just like, yeah, we're together. Let's take pictures and all that. Yeah, we go shopping together. Yes, we do stuff as a family. This is our daughter. Yeah. So what I discovered also during our relationship is how many people love our daughter. I mean, our daughter was perfect. I mean, I am imperfect. My wife, she's, I mean, ex-wife now, but she wasn't that perfect. But we had a perfect child. We had that. We definitely had that. Everywhere we went, whether it was grocery shopping or clothes shopping, school shopping, um, our daughter got the attention. She just does. She still does today. But our relationship was just, I mean, it was rocky on and off. But the looks that we got from people was just, I mean, you can feel the intensity when people would like walk by, and we would go to Fiesta, Texas, theme park over here, and we would go swimming at the swimming pool, and we would take road trips to see her family for a while. Um, we would do a bunch of family stuff. We'd go to the Strawberry Festival up here in Petite, Texas, and we did a lot of family stuff. We did the whole nuclear family thing, and it was really good for a while. But yeah, what's not easy. I mean, in interracial relationships, in dating, like especially in dating, I mean, I think people don't, for the most part, people don't have a problem with interracial relationships being friendly or friendships, right? Uh, um, uh, Take any dynamic you want, like a white guy with a Mexican girl with an Asian. Like when it's friendly, it's okay and it's cool. But to see these two groups like actually not hooking up, but being together in a relationship turns heads. Um, I mean, in such a way to where it's like, wait a minute, am I looking at what I think I'm looking at? So, I mean, it's 2022, but, living in a multicultural environment such as the United States of America, as we are now, um, I mean, interracial dating is just so common. I think it's more common than not. Um, Not the getting married and having a family and for 30, 40 years type of deal. Not that. I mean interracial relationships as far as sex, fucking, dating, lovemaking. All those things before marriage. Because marriage is a commitment, and not everybody is really ready for a commitment right now. But we are ready for everything else, right? I mean, the longest, most stable relationship I had was purely sexual in nature. I mean, believe it or not. Um, and there was factors to that, you right? I mean, there's no pressure, you right? She's not my. I don't have to take her to dinner. I don't have to court her. I don't have to bring her to meet my parents. I don't have to um, talk to her every single day. She doesn't call unless she wants some. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a stable relationship. I was, of course, this is me being married at the time, doing what I'm not supposed to be doing, but it was still a relationship, like it or not. Um, Friends with benefits relationship, but I mean, wow, that friendship lasted a while. It was like about 8 years. So I've learned. Don't get me wrong. I'm not on here advocating for men to cheat on their women or their wives or their girlfriends or anything like that. But I am telling you what I've done so that other people can learn from it and hopefully learn from my mistakes and not repeat them. So, I mean, I'm single now, available now. So I'm in a different boat. But I wasn't always single, right? I was married. I was in a serious relationship just recently. I wanted that to go somewhere, but I mean, it didn't. I mean, it didn't because it couldn't. And I hated. I mean, I had to, back out of that deal because I didn't want to wind up, hurting this woman. I think she's better than that. Um, I'd rather end the relationship and take some time apart and then move from there. But this is me learning from my marriage mistakes. All right. So now that I'm, here I am, 40. I have plenty of experience in interracial dating, multicultural dating, because of all types of women that I dated and had sex with and just hooked up and fucked around with. And there were early signs um, in my upbringing where I would be attracted to a particular type of woman, right? During the 80s, it was like Kim Basinger and um, uh, in in this movie Pretty Woman, I forget her name. I probably should look her up right now. In this movie Pretty Woman, the girl who played Kit, the the pro, as it were, I had a thing for her. Um, Only because um, I feel like if I were to hook up with Julia Roberts, she'd have been all shy and oh my god, what am I supposed to do? And versus Kit, who would just turn my world upside down and then put on her clothes. I'm out. I'm like, just take my wallet. Just, you know. Um, anyway, besides my the point was back then, her and there's this actress I had a thing for, Makin Amek. Um, she was the it girl in the movie I think she started in the movie The Lover. She was very young. I think that was one of her first movies. I think she looked up there. She was in Dream Lover with James Spader and in the movie The Courtyard with Andrew McCarthy back in the 90s. And she was also in Twin Peaks, Miss Shelley. Um, I definitely think. Oh, and the movie Stephen King's Sleepwalkers. She was in that as the main girl. Definitely that thing. But anyway, so uh, Kelly Kapowski from Saved by the Bell. I think for her. Um, I did like Lisa Turtle from Saved by the Bell. I like the fact that she was like this real princess that I could always try and get. I'm like, you know what? I probably had better game than Screech. You know, walked up and at least that's what I thought. But yeah, I mean, television, shows you women, and the women you kind of attract. They're attracted to, you fall for it. I remember I really liked Vanessa Williams. Um, I liked her when she was in that movie Eraser, and I liked her when she was in Shaft, and I liked her when she was in Soul Food and things like that. I I mean, a lot of who you like are based off of what you see, whether it be in images, movies, magazines, television, TV shows, right? So that's kind of back in the 80s and 90s who I kind of thought, women were the kind of women I should be attracted to, I want to say, right? Um, Bigger women were automatically deemed unattractive back then, 80s, 90s. Like there were a lot of fat shaming back then, a lot of the F word thrown around back then, fat, 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 fat. Like pointing at people who were fat, making fun of people who were fat, making jokes about people who were fat, fat jokes. Back then were all the rage. Your mama's so fat, you know, it's just a lot of fat shaming back then. Look where we are now. Now in Texas, oh, you don't want to come to Texas with a bunch of fat jokes. You'll get all kind of messed up. But uh, but yeah, I mean, then and now. But my point is, these different relationships that I've had, I think they're more common than more people than we like to talk about. Um, We've okay, so maybe we all haven't had a boyfriend or a girlfriend of a different culture or a different race, but maybe we've thought about it. Maybe we've thought about it. Maybe we had a thing or a crush, as I was explaining earlier, for someone, and we just didn't know how. We just didn't have game back then, or um, you know, the balls to initiate the approach, right? So, you live and you learn now, but yeah, I mean, I like to think that I would shoot my shot more now than I would 20 something years ago. Oh, I have a lot to be proud of now. More things to say now besides just hi. I can pretty much make up something in small conversation, but my game. Yeah, I think I need to work on it. That's a lot of stuff that I'm just missing out on. I'm just not used to taking the same level of game that I used to when I was 20 something. When you're 20 something, you can you have a rhythm. You're social butterfly. You say things. You know people. You know how. You're smooth. Now I'm more rusty and slow and patient and cautious. So it's a trade off with age. But anyway, in let's just talk about. I guess time flies, but let's quickly just talk about anything in my next episode that I'm thinking about bringing up. The There were many interracial relationships that I had in junior high, in elementary school, in junior high, in high school, and then post high school, and um, and then post marriage. So I want to see if I can touch base on each one of these relationships and what happened, why I think happened, how it began, how it ended. I think we went over hookup culture back in my day. So a lot of the relationships that I'll bring up in the next episode is based off of the hookup culture that we went over today. And because a lot of the hookup culture can turn into something serious that can have a come out in a meaningful relationship on the other side, one way or the other. Maybe you met the worst guy of your life and then he led you to the best guy of your life. So that happens too. So we'll talk about that. Um, my friends, I'm going to probably talk to them tonight or tomorrow morning and see if it's okay for me to use their names. I try not to use his name. As you can tell, I haven't used really many names, but I want to get permission to drop at least a first name so I can at least keep things in context and you can at least get an idea of who I'm talking about. And I mean, I have pictures, of course, on my social media of the people that I'm talking about, at least most of them or some of them. But yeah, just something like that. Just getting the preliminary things out of the way. I'm also going to cover my the girl that I was wanting to take to my prom. This is back when I was still um, kind of seeing that Filipino girl, and she wanted me to invite her to prom, but I wanted to invite this other girl to prom because I had a crush on her, and I think to break that crush, I was gonna just, hey, you want to go to prom? I heard that she had recently broken up with a dude, so she was on the market, but I didn't have enough game to like kick to her to say anything. But the fellas kind of knew I had a thing for her, but again, what are they gonna say? So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about crushes that we've had because I think the crushes are. If this is going to be okay, if this is going to be any type of therapeutical exercise that we're going to go through on this thing, we're going to have to deal with and reconcile with the ones that got away. And the ones that got away didn't really get away. It's just we never pursued them. And these are, I believe, deep down regrets that we feel and that we carry around with us. And I think if we don't at least have an outlet or a platform or a way of expressing these things, then we're just going to continue to bottle it up, and it'll turn probably inward, and these type of things like kind of keep us from from sleeping at night. So it's healthy to get these types of deals out into the open, get it out there. Hey, this girl, such and such in high school, maybe we met, maybe we didn't, but I always noticed her in a crowd. She sat over here. She wore this thing. She smiled at me. At least I thought. like the details in the stories that we tell when we tell them matter because we're we get to relive a moment in history where maybe in watching it with 2020 hindsight, we recognize the mistakes that we make and wish and we could have did something or say something to correct those mistakes. And if we don't like at least open up and try and talk about these things more, we'll keep making these mistakes. I certainly don't want to keep making them. I don't think any of you want to make them either. So there are a lot of women that I've had in my life that I've, been in a relationship with one way or another, either a friendship or a sexual relationship or friends with benefits, and even a marriage, right? So whenever these women are ready, um, at any moment of their choosing, I would hope that they would um, either write an email or write a message or something, or even maybe come up on a panel and give their opinion on me, or maybe not even me, but someone besides me, or hey, after you it was this guy, or before you it was this guy, and he treated me better than you. I don't care what it was or what it is, but I just believe your story needs to be told no matter what story it is. Because, I can learn from it, and so can everyone here watching the channel, or no one here watching the channel, but anyone who's watching us um, post recording. So, um, just bringing it back up to the relationship bit, right? We all had good and bad relationships with people with different cultures. Now, I believe a lot of this is just due to a lack of understanding between two different people that weren't raised the same way, but all of a sudden they're in a school environment or an educational environment, and now they have to learn from each other and play together and this and that. So I mean that's I believe how things were supposed to be, especially in the United States. But now I'm starting to see a lot more segregation that kind of worries me because the interracial relationships that I had starting in school helped me to deal with, modern society, not only in every environment, but especially the workplace. Because no one's going to be raised in a homogenous planet. I mean, that's just not how it's going to go. Um, there are people who are of mixed heritage walking everywhere you're walking. So it's not like you can live and exist on another planet. We all share the same planet, even though we may occupy a different universe. Um, we have to know how to speak to one another again. I do believe that part of the problem in society today is that we do not say hi or hello enough. We do not say hello to every single person that we pass by or encounter, even though we should. I think saying hello to someone it allows a person to be seen. I think on any given day when we're out here in the world on our grind, I mean, at a bare minimum, we only want to really be seen by somebody, acknowledged. You know, no, I mean you don't have to stop for a 5-minute sidebar or 10-minute conversation or a debate. But the words hi and hello or hey, how are you doing? Or what's up? I mean, they should all work. They should all bring about a positive attitude and interaction with a complete stranger. And I say this as a person of my culture. out in the world among all the cultures. There are Indian families out there that I just say what's up to. Hi. You know, I may not speak any of their native languages. I don't know their religion. I don't know their culture. Not like that. But I just know that they're people, and I know that people more. People when you walk around and look at different people, we're all looking around at each other, waiting for somebody to say something. This is like you're walking around like, you know, yeah, you need to say something. So yeah, so I am trying to open my mouth and say something. It doesn't have to be prophetic or profound, but these are stories, right? We all have many different stories to tell at different ages. There are so many stories about this girl I liked when I lived in Japan. Um, it's one of my sister's friends. I don't know why, but I always like my sister's friends. I don't know. It's always like a pretty attractive female that I'm kind of wanting to maybe get next to. But this was fun and interesting, only because I didn't know how many directions I was going to go. I went everywhere at once, but I'm only hoping that in time the second episode comes around. I'm hoping maybe some people will want to, by that time, will want to share their story or write an email or have questions to ask or something like that, right? And within time, I think there are a lot of people who are going to want to open up and say something. I think there is an entire like community of people of interracial relationships that just want to say their piece, that just want to explain how they met, that want to explain how they had to compromise and learn, share, and give. I know they're out there because I'm right here. So I've been through it. I'm still going through it. Um, I think that if there's any kind of healing that's going to go on, it's going to go on through the methodology of expressing one's thoughts and ideas about events that they've lived through during the trials and tribulations of your life. So, as we go through this, I think that one way or another, we're going to come to a place where maybe every time I broadcast or other time I broadcast, there'll be a bunch of people who just want their questions asked or answered and their stories told. I don't expect much for my first episode except for me just not to screw up anything. And for this to be actually live and not just like me talking to a camera that's just running and not going anywhere. Right? This thing's on, right? Yeah. But yeah, besides that, I hope to learn from some of my friends that I grew up with in high school and elementary school. I still talk to them on Facebook. So I'll probably hit them up. I'll be hitting up some of my high school friends. I'll be hitting up some friends from, maybe some old flings or something. See if they have something I'm pretty sure they do have something to say. Let me take that back. But yeah, this has been fun. I mean, it's been interesting. It's been fun and interesting. I don't think we've even scratched the surface. Not even a hair. Not even like this crack right here. We haven't even no. But we will. And you better believe I'll be here for it. So right now we're around about 2 hours. It's a good measurement for people to hop on, hop off, chat, and things like that. But if this thing goes somewhere. I mean, we can stretch it to 3 or 4 hours. Who knows? But anyway, it's a good first episode, 0 episode, 1 episode, whatever you want to call it. But hope to catch you guys later.